Welcome to Solutions, where listening will leave you inspired by solutions to issues you or others you know may be struggling with in the public education system today. I am Olivia Wall, and I am so excited to welcome my guest today, the creator of the Kindergarten Smorgasbord, Mr. Greg Smedley Warren. Greg has been a teacher for 18 years, 15 of those in kindergarten. He is the co-founder of the Elevate Conference for Teachers, and when he's not in the classroom, blogging and doing all things teach, he enjoys spending time with his family. Greg lives in Nashville, Tennessee with his husband, known as the Mister, their daughter Adeline, and their dog Butters. Welcome, 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 the one and only Mr. Greg.
Well, hello. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I am thrilled to have you as a guest. And the question I ask every guest to kick off the episode is, who is an educator that inspires you?
Oh, that's so easy. It was my third grade teacher. Her name was Mrs. Sears. We're still friends to this day. She just, she genuinely loved us. And we knew that that classroom was a safe place. We knew that we had someone who was our advocate and our cheerleader and who wanted nothing more than for us to learn. And she made learning fun and exciting. And that's what I wanted to be as a teacher. And so ever since third grade, that I knew that I wanted to be a teacher and I wanted to be just like Mrs. Sears.
Ah, that's fabulous. Well, Greg, I'll tell you, man, from watching your reels, I'd love to hang out with you. I'd love to be in your classroom. You exude joy. And I can't say enough about the state of education right now. And that's why I really wanted to have you as a guest, because there are so many teachers out there that are feeling demoralized, that have just lost the spark, and they're feeling really undervalued. I am careful, I've said this to you before, I'm careful to say demoralized versus burnt out, because I don't think teachers are burnt out. It's the systemic undervaluing of teachers. And that's why folks are leaving. So let's just face it, because you exude joy, positive energy, um, and you've made it really transparent that you are not going to leave the classroom. This is your jam. This is what wakes you up every day. I'd love for listeners to start off by hearing, why did you become a teacher beyond your fabulous third grade teacher?
Well, I always wanted to change the world. I always wanted to make a difference. And I figured the best way to do that, and I actually just had this conversation with my principal. I said, the best way to do that is in a classroom. And so my mission, my philosophy, whatever you want to call it, is I'm changing the world one student and one classroom at a time. And that's why I wanted to be a teacher. Like I said, since third grade, I knew this is what I wanted to do. And I always had this desire to make the world better. And so teaching for me was the way to make that happen. And I
Yeah.
feel like I do that. I feel like I am making a difference every single day. I know that my kids are leaving my classroom and they're going to go into the world and make it better.
Yeah. And I know many of the children that you teach are bilingual, and you teach in a public school. So, what do you believe the purpose is of public education, especially when it overlays with the values and learning goals of your current school district?
So I think the purpose of public education is to give all students the ability to be successful and to level the playing field. Now, I know we don't do a great job of that all the time, but I think that's the underlying purpose of public education. We accept all students, and hopefully, we're giving them the tools necessary so that they can go out and make a difference and have a better life.
Yeah. Something I've watched you do so beautifully is give space for the children to explore, to have so much fun, and almost trick them into learning through all the games they play. And I know as a kindergarten teacher as well, I believed so strongly when I had my own classroom in inquiry and play, that both of those serve as the backbone of what kindergarten and what early childhood should be. So, how do you incorporate play and inquiry into every day in your classroom?
Well, the first way we do it in the mornings when the kids come in, they eat breakfast, they have to write and draw in a journal, and then they get to play. And so we start our day with them just playing and just watching them interact and laugh and work together to solve problems and create things with the magnetiles or the blocks or whatever. It's just phenomenal. And there's more learning happening in that 20 to 30 minutes than sometimes most of the rest of the day, right? They're building language, the vocabulary, those social skills. But that's just one part, right? One of the struggles I know that we're having is, and I say we, I mean me, my school, my district, whatever,
Yeah.
teachers in my district, is that we have these required curriculums that we have to use. We're required to use them. We're required to follow the pacing, which we're doing, but it can be monotonous, right? It can be hard to engage the kids. So why not take one of those activities and turn it into a game? And so when people are like, wait, how are you doing that with the curriculum? Well, I'm doing exactly what the curriculum is asking me to teach that day, but I just took it and instead of it being the kids sitting on the carpet saying the letters, we turned it into a basketball game, right? And so we're just looking for ways that we can take what we have to do and make it fun.
I want listeners, because this is only audio, they need to have the visual of this basketball game because I've watched the reel and oh my God, it was fabulous. And the children were so entranced. It was magnificent. So, paint a picture for us. What is this
Okay.
basketball game you speak of?
So on Amazon, or I found this at a store called Five Below. You can buy it's called a basket head. And so there's this little plastic basketball goal that sits on top of your head and it sticks up. So imagine, I'm standing in the front of the classroom. We do it with all kinds of skills, but we did words this week. So I had words written on orange paper. So the kids had to decode the words and then they got to wad up the paper and they got to try to make a basket.
Yes.
So imagine, you've got a bunch of little bitty kindergartners. You've got their teacher standing up, and now I've got this basketball goal in my head, which makes it pretty high. And watching them try to make a basket is hilarious. The best part is when they miss and hit you in the face
Yes, that did
because they
occur.
think that is the best. Like they laugh so much. But you're right. They don't even realize that we're really learning and practicing skills because they're having so much fun because they get to throw paper at my face.
They are, and I love the moment when the child tried to climb up on the table
Yes.
to get a little bit of an advantage. You so kind of were like, "No, no, 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 down you go. That's not happening." Um,
But right, good problem solving skills, right? Like that
yes,
was a good strategy.
it was so good. It was so good. So that moment, just seeing that, it speaks to how you value keeping learning fun because I know a lot of curricular options feel like handcuffs for
Yes.
teachers. I know you're saying you're required to follow the pacing. My beliefs are that the children drive our instruction. And I have a feeling that's what many teachers say, right? And so I think there's just such a disconnect between this mandate or these pacing guides. Like, what is it saying we believe about what's best for children if we're slogging through lesson by lesson versus tailoring instruction, right?
Absolutely. And I just saw a post on social media this morning and it said, like, I can't remember exactly, but basically it was like the most powerful tool we have is not the technology, it's not the resources, it's not the programs, it's not the curriculum, it's the teacher.
Yeah.
Because I know what my kids need because I'm with them every day. I'm working with them every day. I'm assessing them. I'm monitoring them. You could put up a picture of any of my kids right now, and I could tell you exactly what they needed to work on. I can tell you exactly what they're strong at. And I can say, tomorrow, I'm going to pull Michael and we're going to work on this.
Mhm.
And so teachers should be the resource. We should be the ones driving the instruction in our classroom because we know exactly where our kids are. We know how to meet their needs, how to meet them where they are, and give them every tool that they need to be successful. But unfortunately, it feels like education has really shifted from that student focused mindset to now this curriculum focused mindset. And it's happening everywhere. And I can't fix it, right? Like I don't have that power. But at least in my classroom, I can make learning fun. And that's what I try to do every day.
You are. You're fixing it in a way by taking the lessons and at least thinking outside of the box to make them engaging for students. Because we know if we have children by their hearts and by that motivation factor, they'll be much more engaged. I'll say, Greg, I really noticed a shift with COVID
Oh,
and
totally.
right where teachers were basically forced to get in line and be on the same page because of that online education. And I feel like this is bizarre, but we're outside of COVID now in a way, and yet the districts are still there with that everyone being on the same page, even though we need to be exactly where you just spoke to, right?
Part of that too was this narrative of the learning loss, right?
Yeah.
Like there was this huge push, and there still is. I think we're starting to really understand more and see it more. We know there are gaps, right? We know there are missing pieces, but everybody went through that. We are all in the same place. And so, this idea that there was this learning gap that affected just my kids in my district is a false narrative being pushed by people who want to make a lot of money, I guess.
Yeah.
And so I think districts were like, oh, we need to fix that right now. And so instead of getting out of the way and letting the professional teachers find ways to fill in these gaps and to keep our kids moving forward, districts are just throwing everything they can think of at it. Every program, every curriculum they can, and it just becomes curriculum is what's driving us and we're not meeting the needs of our kids.
Yeah. So let's just think, you and your colleagues, how many folks are on your kindergarten team?
I have 7 teammates.
And so how do you all plan together?
So we meet weekly. We meet 1 day a week to do ELA planning and then 1 day a week to do math planning. And so we look at our scope and sequence. So it tells us what lessons we need to be on that week. We go through the lessons as a team, looking for ways that we can modify those lessons to meet the needs of our students. Looking at activities and being like, okay, this activity, this is going to be a challenge. How can we address that? And so we're sharing out ideas that we're going to do in our classroom, ways that we're making it better. So that's how we plan each week.
And so I want to know more, like teaching right now, it feels pretty volatile. One of my friends and colleagues, Cornelius Minor, said, we're in treacherous times right now with the hate that's being thrown around. So what's keeping you going through these volatile times that we're teaching in?
If if everybody leaves, then what?
Yeah.
Like who's going to be there? And I know people will hate on me for that because and I'm not saying stay for the kids. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's a legitimate concern. If all of us were to leave, then who's advocating for our kids? Who's there for them? And so I get it. Teaching is incredibly hard. It is exhausting. It is overwhelming. We aren't valued. We aren't respected. There's ridiculous amounts of hate out there. I mean, as as a member of the LGBT community, we're terrified, right? Coming up in a couple of weeks, I have to scan the books in my classroom so people can come choose what books I'm not allowed to have, right? So, and our daughter goes to kindergarten in a year and a half, and so we're trying to figure out where is a safe place to send her. I get all of that because I'm living it. I'm in the classroom every day. I know how hard it is, but if I leave, who's teaching the kids to be better? Who's going to help that next generation stand up and speak up and fight back, right?
Yeah.
And if we're all leaving, then the people who aren't supportive of education and teachers, they win. And I'm not going to let that happen.
Well said. Well said. Um, you know, I think right now, we have to lift each other up. If we're all grounded in what's best for children and keeping children at the center of our focus, that's what we can circle up around. And so I want to hear some stories about children. That's what keeps us going, right? So, what are you studying right now with them, or what's something that you've recently unpacked with children? And let's hear some kids' stories.
The kid stories are the best because people are like, wait, did that really happen? Listen, y'all, teachers don't have to make up anything.
No.
Here, and this is something like there's a part of me, and I know people will hate on me for this too, but I wish they would put cameras in our rooms just so the public can see what really happens in these classrooms. Because number one, y'all, we don't have time to indoctrinate anybody, right? Okay, let's just put that out there.
So
If
true.
I were indoctrinating my kids, they would listen the first time, okay, and they would stop picking their nose.
So true.
or at least stop picking their nose and eating it. So, but like it's unreal what goes on inside of those walls for 8 hours a day. Some days I look around and I'm like, what in the world is happening?
Yes.
Like, what is going on in this classroom? Because you just can't make it up.
No.
But that's one of the best parts about it. It's never boring, ever,
Ever.
right?
Ever, ever.
Um, yeah, ever. We had a guest reader in our classroom this week who actually was the former mayor of Nashville. So, pretty well known person. She was amazing. We loved her. She sat down at the front of the room to read, and one of our little girls sneezes. Y'all, I have never seen this amount of snot come out of a
My
child. In
God.
18 years as a teacher and as a parent, I have never, like, I don't know where it came from, and it was a color I've never seen before.
Oh
Oh,
God.
but and she was sitting right in front, and
Yes.
so our poor guest reader just looked at me and, like, kinda motioned, and I was like, "I got this."
Yeah.
I'm like, "I got this," right? This year, I have a little boy in my class who has autism, and he's very routine driven. If we have to change our day, like I have to really work with him to work through that. But he narrates our entire day. So I feel like I'm in a documentary all day
Yes.
because everything we're doing, he's narrating it. He's like, oh, Mr. Greg is walking to the door and we're in line and now we're walking. And the best part about it, of course, the beginning of the year, it was hard for the kids, right? But now it's just like the normal noise in our classroom.
Yes.
And he repeats everything I say, which can be eye opening because he'll say something and I'll be like, is that what I sounded like? I'm like, "Ooh, I better tone that down a little bit." But he also now says things that I say all the time, and he'll say them before I actually say them.
Wow.
So, like, he's now my co-teacher because he's, like, handling behavior problems or, telling the kids it's time to line up or we're going to lunch or I'm like, "Oh, great." I'm like, "I don't have to do that. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that."
Yeah. Greg, you just made me think of something. Years ago, I had a conversation with colleagues, and we were talking about the notion of flattening the hierarchy and how important it is to have everyone's ears and minds around the table. And I'm thinking so much around the idea of mirrors. And often I use the language that children should be able to mimic anything we do if we're following what we believe to be true is best for them. It's interesting hearing you say that that mirror, it helps us gauge our effectiveness, our tone, um, by that student in particular, but really pausing to say, what are we showing children that we believe to be true about learning in general, about scheduling our day? And what a gorgeous reminder that having a child that narrates the day, it gives us a glimpse into, is our routine consistent? Is it predictable? Is that safe? That is safety for children right there.
Absolutely, and kids thrive on structure. And I know people are like, wait, what? They like a schedule, they like the rules, they like, yes. Do they push back on them? Of course they do, because we all do, right?
Yeah.
But they thrive on that structure and that routine. And for so many of our kids, they may not have that at home. And so when they come into a classroom and they have that routine, that structure, it's safe
Yeah.
and it's calming for them, right? It takes away some of that stress so that they can focus more on the learning and not worry so much about other things.
Yeah, I ask this question often of myself, what's fueling me to keep going? And I'll say right now, it's my colleagues and the children as well. It's my colleagues, though, that are problem solvers. They're not admirers of problems. And just, I don't do well with complaining. Don't talk to me about issues unless you have some ideas of how to work through it together. Naming issues, yeah, but let's figure it out. So I'd love to hear from you. Yeah, you've named some issues, but what are other things that you're working through? Who are thought partners for you in this world of teaching?
Oh, I mean, I'm surrounded by some amazing colleagues. Right now, as part of our Elevate conference, Holly Ely is one of our Elevate team members. And I've been working closely with her over the last couple of months around the science of reading and how I can be a better teacher. And so she's helped me learn more about the science of reading, to understand it, and to put it into practice. I think that's a big thing is like there's always stuff that we're being taught and we're learning and new information's coming out and we all take that in, but the gap lies in how can I put that into practice? What does that look like in my classroom? So Holly's been amazing at helping me with that. And that's why you see a lot of the games you're seeing in our classroom. I'm taking that research into how kids learn to read and I'm putting it into practice.
Yeah.
She's a phenomenal person. I have great teammates at school. We were able to come together. You know, our school, and I think this is true for most places, there's a lot of stress. And so I have a great group of people at work. We call ourselves the unofficial fun squad. And so we know that teachers need some fun, we need some relief and to have just some, haha moments. And so we're always looking for little ways that we can bring more fun into our building. We get together and we try to come up with dress up days, or we've done popcorn for the school. So it's good to have those people who see that there's a need. Like in my school, there's a need for more fun and people who are willing to help you and to do that work.
Yeah. Let's shift our conversation. You are the creator of the Kindergarten Smorgasbord, and Smorgasbord ending board, BOARD. So I'd love for listeners to hear about that, but talk about fun. Let's go there. So, why did you create the platform and how does it support other educators?
Okay, so I taught fifth grade, my first year of teaching, loved it. But I had a little girl in that class who couldn't read hardly at all. And it just infuriated me. And so I wanted to move to a lower grade because I didn't want that to happen to other kids. So I moved to second grade and I loved second grade. And I thought, man, this is it. I'm going to be in second grade for a while. I loved it. Um, so after 2 years in second grade, I had a principal who forced me to kindergarten. I did not want to go to kindergarten. I had never even thought about being a kindergarten teacher. I didn't see myself as a kindergarten teacher at all. So, actually, okay, let me tell the story because people always love this story. So, it was close to the end of the school year. She calls a faculty meeting. We all gather in the library for this little faculty meeting. It wasn't even a faculty meeting, y'all. It was somebody selling insurance, right? Like, who would after school, right? Like, come on.
Oh,
Like,
come
can we just go
on.
home? So, after this little meeting, she closes all of the doors of the library. She has us line up single file, and as we're going through the line, she's handing out an envelope. And in that envelope was a little bitty piece of paper, and handwritten on that piece of paper was our job assignment for the next
Are
year.
you kidding me?
No, this is 100% accurate.
Oh
This is
my gosh.
exactly how this went
This is
down.
painful.
So after about 3 or 4 people, we figured out what was happening. So everybody's opening their envelope, reading out their job assignment for the next year. And a lot of people were moving to different grades. And so I said to my friends in line with me, I said, if it is kindergarten or fourth grade, I'm out. Like
Done.
I will go to McDonald's and I'm out. So I opened right. I opened my envelope, I pull out my little piece of paper, and of course it says I'm moving to kindergarten. So I read it out and I looked around and I'd been at this school for like 6 years. We were super close.
Oh my
And like
gosh.
just this look of fear on people's face when I read that I was moving to kindergarten, I was like, oh crap, this is
Yeah.
bad. So I did what all grown up men do at that time. I got in the car and I called my mommy and I cried. The best part is when I told mom I was going to be the new kindergarten teacher. Like I expected, the normal mom, like you can do this. Oh, I'm so excited.
You
You're going to be
got
great.
this? Yeah.
No, my mom, it was dead silence.
Oh, she knew. Oh god.
I was like, "Oh god." Like, okay, if mom's not excited, I am in big trouble. This is
Oh my
really bad.
gosh. Oh,
But the first day of kindergarten 15 years ago, I fell in love.
yes.
And so I'm thankful to that principal in her own way that she forced me to find my passion and my calling. So we talked and she said, just go to kindergarten and bring your creativity. And that's it. And we didn't really have a curriculum at that time. We didn't really have scope and sequence, which was fantastic. And so I was like, well, I have no clue how to teach kindergarten. I have no clue what it's supposed to look like. I had amazing teammates. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to do what I think I should do. And so I just really went into it and did my own thing. Like we were teaching the same skills and the same standards each week, but I was really like, okay, if we're going to have to learn this, how to add, how can I do that? What am I going to do? And so I started coming up with ideas. And if things worked, great. If they didn't, great. We'll figure something else out. And so I got teachers at my school, and friends were like, "You should write a blog. People would love to see what you're doing in your classroom. I think you're really different." Well, first of all, I'm a male teaching kindergarten, which is rare.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I don't, how does that work? Where do you even start? Who's, first of all, and who's going to read it besides my mom, right? So I talked about it, talked about it, talked about it. And finally, Jason, my husband, was like, just shut up and write the blog.
Yes.
And so that's where the kindergarten smorgasbord started 10 years ago. It's been 10 years. And so it really was just born completely out of my being forced to kindergarten and just being able to do what I wanted to do in my classroom. And then hoping that I could reach a couple of teachers and help them and make their jobs easier. And so that is the kindergarten smorgasbord.
And let's just pause because you have reached more than a couple of teachers. I mean, it's a phenomenon in a way. And I will promise to include links in the show notes to this site. The blog is magnificent. And I don't know how you find time to be as crazy awesome as you are in the classroom and to juggle all of this. But I think something that I struggle with, and I've spoken on the podcast about this before, is that balance between loving what we do so, so very much and maintaining balance with our family and our children and our awesome dogs, right? Like getting fresh air. So, how do you juggle everything right now and maintain such joy in your life?
So for me, the focus is always going to be on my family,
Yeah,
right? So this morning, Adeline, I said, "What do you want to do this morning?" She said, "Let's go to my bed and watch TV." Okay,
done.
perfect.
Yep.
Like we did. We hung out in her bed all morning and we played and we talked and we watched TV. And that's my focus, right? Especially on the weekends. But for me, creating, I'm sitting here now looking at my desk. I went to Walmart and bought way too many Easter eggs because I have ideas for how I'm going to use them in my classroom. But that's my stress relief. Like coming up here into my office and creating something for my classroom or creating a resource or writing a blog post or making a reel, that's my hobby. Like that's how I explain it to people. That's my stress relief because I love it. It's so much fun. So that helps. One thing I do is I do schedule on Sunday. So on Sunday afternoon, I spend 3 to 4 hours up here in my office, and I plan and prep for the entire week. Everything is done and ready to go, so I don't have to stress it during the week. I can get at school a little before the kids come. I can leave at dismissal. Like I don't have that issue. If my planning time is taken away, it's not a big deal because I have everything ready. I can use the planning time to focus on the busy work, the paperwork, all of that stuff that I need to do. So that really helps a lot.
Yes.
Um, just and then I know people are like, but I don't want to give up my weekends. I get it. I get it. But that was for me, that works. That's how I was able to find that balance because it really takes some of that stress away. The other thing that has been really helpful for me over the last couple of years is not being afraid to say no and realizing that I don't have to do everything at my school, right? So it's okay if I don't hang out in the hallway after school and talk to my colleagues. Like if I want to say, "Hey, y'all, I got to go pick up Adeline. I'll see you tomorrow." That's okay,
Yes.
right? And if I want to hang out in the hallway and talk to my colleagues, that's okay too. But having those boundaries, not serving on all the committees, not being the kindergarten team leader, like having some of those boundaries so that I can focus on my classroom and focus on my kids. And then I can leave and go home and focus on my family and the kindergarten smorgasbord. So that for me, those are some of the things that have really helped with that balance.
Yeah, I did the same exact thing on Sundays for my own class. And I always planned the whole year out with chunks of time. So I knew where I was going, usually 6-ish weeks unit wise. And then having that long term vision was so freeing because the day to day falls into place when you have that long term planning done. And then my Sundays were recalibrating, I called it, right? So I would look at every 2 weeks at a glance and say, okay, so this is my long term plan. What am I looking at for the next 2 weeks? And planning like that was incredibly freeing because I like to teach knitting club after school, and that was my jam, right? And so when we know what drives us, what our passions are, then we can choose to spend time with that creativity. And I think it makes us happier when we can put our energy into the things that just bring us joy personally,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've talked a lot about how hard teaching is. And so we need those outlets, whether it's reading or knitting or, you know, if you're a crafter or whatever, find that outlet and make time to do that. It really does help. It's funny because I can tell when I've not had a lot of time to come up here and to make something or to create something. I'll be like, oh, I need that. And I can tell when I get the chance to do it, I feel better. And so I know how important that is for me.
Yeah. And I would say too, it's also recognizing when we're not okay. And I remember I was working with a group of teachers and it had just been a rough morning. And I went in and sat down with them, and I felt like it would have been so inauthentic to just be super positive when I was not vibing as super positive. And I looked at them and said, I just need you to all to know I'm doing mostly good today. That's what I'm gonna stick with. I'm not fabulous. I'm not feeling great. I'm mostly good. And the teachers looked at me and I said, based on what's going on at home, perhaps, or based on just the energy level in the world, I think it's important to be able to be honest with each other too, and feel safe in that, and just be welcomed for who we are in that moment, because that's how we want our kids, right?
Right. And that's one of the reasons I try to post my stories every day on Facebook about my classroom because it's real, right? This is real life in a classroom. Yes, I'm a happy person. Yes, I'm a positive person. Yes, I still love teaching. I'm not leaving the classroom. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is where I want to belong, but it's hard. And it's funny because people will be like, oh, how do you get your kids to be perfect? We see their videos. And I'm like, well, they're 5-year old. And so they're not perfect. Like, you see a 3-minute video of them, but they're real life kids in a real life classroom with all of those real life struggles and challenges. And so I want people to see that it is real. And even you can still be happy and positive, but you can also be very transparent about the struggles and the challenges. And so that's why I share the funny stories. And when it is a hard day, or when I've had a bad day, or when we've had a hard day in the classroom, I share that as well because I want people to know that we all go through that,
Yeah.
right? And it's okay that you go through that because tomorrow's a new day and we start over.
That's it, right? With each new sunrise, life begins anew. That's how
Absolutely.
we roll. That's how we roll. So tell us, please, what is our call to action when it comes to teaching our youngest learners?
So, whenever I speak to teachers, I always end with this: teaching is hard, it's overwhelming. And I think it's getting more so because there are so many attacks on education and teachers, but it's the absolute best job in the world. Even on the hard days, even in this current environment, it's still the best job in the world because we get to show up every day. And even if we don't realize it, we're making a difference. We may not see it because kids may not always show it, they may not tell it. And especially for early childhood, we may not see the fruits of that labor until later. But when we walk into our classroom with our students, we absolutely 100% every day make a difference. And we can't give up. And we simply cannot do it alone. And so, my call to action is this: take care of one another, support one another, love one another, encourage one another, be there for each other because we can't do this alone. And the thing is, if I succeed, you succeed. If you succeed, I succeed. And if we all succeed, our kids succeed. And that's what it's about. It's not about followers or likes or who has the cutest door for the door decorating contest, because we all know that's a thing, unless you have a crazy fire marshal. Um, it's about the kids.
It is.
And we can't do that without each other. And so, if you take nothing else away from this, support each other, take care of each other, We know that the rising waters lifts all boats. And so we absolutely have to be there for one another. I tell people all the time, if we can help, reach out to us. We're here. I am in the classroom. I'm here to help. Please reach out to us. But just take care of each other and be there for one another, because we have to stick together for our kids, for our profession, and for our communities. And we're stronger together.
Yeah, and that is exactly why I wanted you to be a guest, because you motivate me on days I'm not feeling like I have a thought partner. I can watch one of your reels, I can read a blog post, and it just brings that back to the center of why we are doing this every single day. Our goal is to grow better human beings in our classroom than what is out there with a lot of grown-ups right now. There's so much hope with children, so much hope with children. And I can't thank you enough for everything you do for the profession, and for our children. So thank you so much, Greg. It's been a gift to have you as a guest.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, take care.
Thank you.
Scholutions is a podcast created, produced, and edited by me, Olivia Wall. Special thanks to my guest, Greg Smedley Warren. Thanks to my older son, Benjamin, who created the music that's playing in the background. If you like Scholutions, please share, rate, review, and follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Scholutions Podcast. If you want to reach out, leave me a SpeakPipe voice memo at my website, oliviawall.com/podcast, or via email at scholutionspodcast@gmail.com. Don't forget to talk about us nicely on social media, and please keep listening. Let's continue finding inspiration together.